Well, once again, the Pittsburgh Steelers lost in the first round of the NFL playoffs. Hey guys, just wanted to hop on here, do a quick reaction to the playoffs. You might be thinking, but the Cleveland Browns aren't in the playoffs. Why am I talking about the playoffs? Well, in the words of Kendrick Lamar, Pittsburgh, I am your biggest hater. Any chance I get to have a little laugh, a little giggle at the Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm going to take it. As I said, we might not have made the playoffs this year, but we've still won a playoff game more recently than the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers went into wildcard weekend against the Baltimore Ravens, a game in which the Baltimore Ravens were, of course, heavily favoured in, and rightfully so, because they absolutely bludgeoned the Steelers. This game was over at half-time, something that's become a bit of a common theme with the Steelers in the playoffs the last, nearly decade now. They seem to be blown out by halftime in most of those games anyway. As most of us know, the Pittsburgh Steelers have still not won a playoff game since the 2016 season. Since then, they, in 2017, lost 45-42 to the Jaguars. In 2020, they lost 48-37 to the Browns. 2021, 42-21 to the Chiefs. 2023, 31-17 to the Bills. And this just gone past year, 28-14 to the Ravens. They've lost by a combined score of 194 to 131 in those 5 playoff losses. Just dreadful stuff, absolutely dreadful stuff, and something that I am very happy to see continue. The streak is well and truly alive. I said on this channel a couple of weeks ago, I was worried that the streak would come to an end because it was looking like the Steelers were going to play the Texans in the first round. That didn't happen. The Steelers ended up losing their last game to the Bengals, so they ended up playing the Ravens, and it went pretty much as expected. As I mentioned, the Ravens absolutely bludgeoned the Steelers in this game. It was 21-0 at the half. I believe that the Ravens had more first downs in the first half than the Steelers had plays ran. Just completely dominated in the first half. They kind of, took their foot off the gas a little bit in the second half, the Ravens, because the game was pretty much over. Let the Steelers get 2 touchdowns in the second half. But as I said, this game was never close. Lamar Jackson was awesome. Derrick Henry was awesome. I must admit, I was wrong about Derrick Henry. I said at the start of the season that I just didn't think that he was what they needed. You're adding a great running back to an already great running offense. Is it something they needed? Would it come and help them in the playoffs? I put my hand up and say that I was wrong, because Derrick Henry was brilliant in this game. 186 yards. The Ravens set a single game franchise record for the playoffs with 299 rushing yards. As I said, including 186 by Derrick Henry. It's the most that the Steelers have ever allowed in a playoff game, and it's the most that any team has allowed in the playoffs since the 2012 Packers. So just historically bad stuff from a Steelers run defense that was actually one of their strong points this year. But they got absolutely embarrassed in this game. There was one drive in the second quarter where the Ravens ran 12 plays, 12 runs, and were able to score a touchdown. So just miserable stuff from the Steelers, much to my joy to watch last night. I know there was a lot of talk on the socials amongst Browns fans yesterday of, it's like picking the worst of two evils, the better of two evils, between the Ravens and the Steelers. And, whilst I completely understand, any of the animosity towards the Ravens, of course, they are my second least favourite team. But that being said, I'm still going to root for the Ravens over the Steelers in any scenario, because that's how much I hate the Steelers. As I said at the start, I am your biggest hater. So the Steelers continue their absolutely poor playoff streak. They actually had played pretty well against the Ravens the last few years. I think they had won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of the last 9 games heading into the final regular season match of the season against the Ravens this year, which obviously the Ravens blew them out 34-17, and then just rinse and repeated in the playoffs and blew them out again. So a Steelers team that had this Ravens team's number the last few years, just not able to do it in the playoffs. Shock. I'm not sure anybody is too surprised by that. But I mean, we're nearly approaching 10 years now since they've won a playoff game. The win record's cool, no losing season's cool, and everything. Mike Tomlin is a fantastic head coach, but I've said it before. I think a lot of Steelers fans would probably trade that winning season streak for some playoff wins this decade. Because what good is going 10-7 every year if you're going to get bounced in the first round of the playoffs? And that is kind of what they've done, this last half of the decade. You think about 2020 when the Browns knocked them out. They started the season 11-0, I believe. Ended up losing 5 of their last 6 games, including obviously the playoff game. This season, I think they were 9-4 at one point. And obviously lost 4 straight games to end the regular season, and lost their playoff game against the Ravens to make it 5 straight losses to end their season. So just typical stuff, what we expect out of the Steelers. I'm sure none of you listening are surprised. We get it every year where the national media does the whole, oh, look at the Steelers, they're 10-4, they're 10-3. Oh, wow, this might be the year that they go and do it. And what happens every single time? They fade out towards the end of the season and they lose in the first round of the playoffs. As I mentioned, this is 5 straight first round exits now for the Steelers. Not great stuff, if we're being honest. Now, not only am I the Pittsburgh Steelers' biggest hater, I am also TJ Watt's biggest hater. Proud member of the TJ Watt hate club. I can make the jokes, but in the end of the day, it comes from a serious line of thinking. Obviously, the rivalry stuff, we're gonna root for our guys, of course, when it comes to Miles versus TJ. But when it actually comes, like when I'm actually being serious and I'm just talking about it from a genuine football perspective, I've never thought it was close anyway. TJ Watt is a great player. But he's not a generational player like Myles Garrett, in my opinion. And I think, the last few games and this playoff game has kind of just furthered that. According to the stat sheet, TJ Watt didn't actually play in this game. The funny part, he actually played 60 snaps in this game. 60 snaps without a single registered stat. Sheesh. And if you think that's bad, TJ actually ended the season having not recorded a single stat in 203 consecutive opponent offensive plays. His last registered stat was a combined tackle against the Chiefs in the 4th quarter. Laughable stuff. This is apparently the Defensive Player of the Year front runner. I think they should probably get rid of the award. If they're going to just hand it to TJ Watt this year, because I'm not just saying this as a Browns fan. I think most fans in the NFL would agree, undeserving by a lot. Pat Surtain deserves it over him. Nick Bonito deserves it over him. Hell, you could even make the argument that Myles Garrett on a 3-4 team deserves it over him. Again, yes, I am a hater, but it comes from a serious place. That's bad. 200 consecutive snaps without even registering a tackle is poor. Really, really poor. Not something you expect to see from a second team All-Pro. Not first team like Miles, but neither here nor there. But it's inexcusable. And if I was a Steelers fan, I would be having problems with it. Just not good enough. How many times have we seen TJ Watt in these playoff games not turn up? He's yet to win a playoff game in his career. He's now on the other side of 30. All the talk about the Browns wasting Myles Garrett, they've won more playoff games with Myles Garrett than the Steelers have won with TJ Watt. So should we not apply that same line of thinking to TJ Watt and the Steelers? Are they wasting TJ Watt's career, or is he just not actually that good? I say that I have to always make sure I reinforce it with, yes, he is good. Don't get me wrong. I'm never ever going to claim that TJ Watt is a bad football player. He's a very good football player, but he's not Myles Garrett. He never has been. He never will be. And he continues to prove that. So, but I suppose finally, where do the Steelers go from here is going to be the question in the off-season. Quite a few years now. I think this is probably the third, fourth year in a row where, they get bounced in the first round and all their fans are calling for Mike Tomlin to be fired. I'm pretty sure Filippone, everyone's favourite Steelers fan on Twitter, he tweeted last night, trade Tomlin, trade Watt. Seriously, start over. I think he's done with this team. I think a lot of Steelers fans are done with this team because, as I said earlier, it's all good going 10-7 every year and having this, this winning season record. But in the end of the day, if it's not translating to playoff wins, what are you going to do? For me, as a Browns fan, get rid of Mike Tomlin, man. Yeah, he's the one bringing you guys down. You should definitely get rid of Mike Tomlin. Trade him to the NFC. That's what I would do. Just get him out the AFC. I don't think he should be in the AFC. He's not good enough. So I would be perfectly happy if they wanted to get rid of Mike Tomlin and move on from him. If they want to trade TJ Watt as well, I'll be perfectly happy with that. Trade him to the NFC. I don't mind. But I think it's going to be a kind of, come to realisation moment for a lot of Steelers fans this off-season. If any Steelers fans are listening to this and you're thinking, what the fuck am I talking about? I'm a Browns fan. At least we know that we were bad this year. We kind of know where we have to go from here. The only way is up. Whereas the Steelers are in the same situation that they've been in now for half a decade, where it's, do we just keep this going and try and squeeze another 10-7 season out of it and a first round exit, or do we actually do something that we haven't done in what feels like decades, and that's start a rebuild of some sort. It's going to be interesting to see where the Steelers go from here. I will, in the off-season, I'm sure, plant my flag for the third year running that the Steelers next year will finally have a losing season. I'll probably be wrong again. But in the end of the day, if you're going to just finish 10-7 and lose in the first round of the playoffs, doesn't bother me too much as it would. But that will probably do it for me today, guys. As I said, didn't really have much to talk about. My team's not playing in the playoffs. I enjoyed the 2 games yesterday. The Texans, obviously, with the upset, beating the Chargers, a result that I don't think a lot of people expected with how poor the Texans had been the second half of the season. It looked like they were kind of running out of steam. Credit to CJ Stroud, the Buckeye. Credit to that Texans defense forcing multiple turnovers. I mean, they got 4 picks on Justin Herbert. Is it time to have a conversation about Justin Herbert? I think that's down for the Chargers podcast and Chargers Twitter. But as I said, just wanted to hop on here, give my quick reactions. Yes, anyone listening that isn't a Browns fan, I know my team's not in the playoffs. Why am I talking about the playoffs? I get it, it's fine. But as I said, in the words of Kendrick Lamar, Pittsburgh Steelers, I am your biggest hater. So any chance I get to laugh at them, I'm going to take it. In regards to Browns stuff, obviously with this being a Browns channel, not just the Steelers haters channel, got loads of stuff coming up for the off-season, as I've spoken about in the last few videos. Draft stuff coming up, videos on the Browns salary cap, Watson, moving on from there. Got some really exciting guests lined up, including a very, very exciting guest to come and talk about the Browns salary cap with me in the next few weeks. So can't wait to bring you guys all that content. If anyone watching, considers yourself a draft expert, you do the draft content, stuff like that, or anyone, same with, any kind of topic on the Browns, drop me a DM on any of the socials, drop me a message, a comment on here. I'm trying to speak to as many people as I can. Hopefully hopefully get as many people that are much smarter than me on these topics to come on here and help me break it down for you guys. So if you do know anyone that would be interested, my links to my socials are always in the description. So as I said, drop me a DM or a message, and we'll try and get something sorted. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of the wildcard round of the playoffs. Hope you enjoyed watching the Steelers lose as much as I did. Yes, I don't want the Ravens to go and win a Super Bowl, so hopefully they get beaten in the next round. But in the end of the day, I am a Lamar Jackson fan. I think it's quite hard for anyone to not like Lamar Jackson. I just don't like the crest on the jersey that he wears. But can't wait for that Bills Ravens game. Obviously, assuming that the Bills get it done today, that should be a really good game. Really looking forward to it. But that will do it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy my content, then please drop this video a like, hit the subscribe button. It's free and it really helps out my channel. You can also check the links in the description to see where you can connect and interact with me on social media. As I always say, I'm trying to build a community of Cleveland Browns fans, and even if I only get to talk to one fan a day, I'm happy because I'm talking Browns football with the best fan base in the world. Thanks again for watching, guys. Have an amazing rest of the weekend. Have an amazing week. And most importantly, go Browns.